about is, how he described feeling very, very, I think he said discarded when he was in school. And I think this is important to bring up because I'm sure that there's a huge population of autistic kids, verbal or not, that feel like they are sort of not believed in, kind of put to the side, no expectations.
Regarding the school issue,
yes,
and being discarded. So it says, Andy, the autistic population is not looked after because there is a label attached to death or absence of life. We are not only the physical body, it says we are not sought after as we need. And the mind. There is a need to educate the soul and the mind. So it says, we are not only the physical body, and autism requires that reaching the soul is a foundation.
So I understand that. So that means really stripping away all of the conditioning and programming and all this other sort of human stuff that we have, that we grow up with. And I guess if I could articulate it one way, it would be almost like going back to how we were at birth, right? Because we're probably all soul at birth. We're all, wonder and awe, and we don't have any of the conditioning and programming that our upbringing has laid on us. So that makes a lot of sense.
Light, which basically is what we are when we are born.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
teachers have to be reschooled and learn to touch their soul.
Yes, I understand what that means.
Deprogramming teachers. Okay.
That sounds like,
once again.
Say that again.
I understand it, that is trying to say teachers have to be reschooled, so that they have to be deprogrammed or deprogrammed. Basically what you were saying. Learn to go back to their essence, their soul, so that they will be able to guide others.
Yes. Now, that sounds like a really tall order. I totally get it. And it seems that maybe the first step is the parents, right? And I know Joelle said that before. The moms have to get back there first, right? Because if the moms aren't there, I don't know, maybe, what do you think, Lori? You were a teacher and you worked with kids. What's your thoughts on that?
my thought is exactly that, because I've had all of those experiences, and as a teacher and as a therapist, it was like I could go in, I could do my work, and when I left, it was like the day was over, and the parents weren't always eager to even move to the next level. But so that's why when I finally started working with a parent that was eager, and they were just so grateful and appreciative when I came in that they started taking on the learning. You know, they would apply it. So if they don't apply it, it's meaningless. Right?
Well, you know, that's a perfect example, because I'm a mother, so I'm very fixated on, well, it has to start with the mother, which, you know, and to a large degree it does. But hey, there's probably some teachers out there that can make the shift, like you, that will eventually help the parents to come along. So that's a really important message. It's not only the parents, it is the teachers, the people that are doing.
It's like training the trainer. Yeah, it's training the trainers.
Yeah.
Because I see myself as a bridge. I see you as also a bridge, but also a mom. So you have that primary responsibility. But it's almost like, and this is my experience, is like I help the parents laser in on the blocks, like what's holding them from their kid, and then some kind of aha moment happens. All the time, it's amazing. But I have a template for seeing their true potential.
Mm-hmm.
And when I work with the parent, it's almost like I'm helping them raise their vibration just by holding that space for them.
Yes, absolutely. I get that. That makes sense.
Yes,
Elaine?
and I guess we're all thinking the same manner, because João also wrote the importance of starting off with parents too. He says we can start with parents because they are in touch with their children and eager to change.
Yes.
So the fact that they're close to their children and they want the best opens up the space for the change.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yes.
Beautiful, Joao. We're on the same page, of course.
You know, I wanted to just, I had asked a question and I want to just read the response that Joao had already written, and then maybe we could go on, because what he responded to this question about, you know, being in school and feeling disconnected, I think it's important for parents and teachers to understand from his perspective what was actually going on in him. This is really important. It ties right into what we're talking about. So the first question I asked was, you know, well, what was it like? Why were you disconnected or discarded as a student? And it says, "Dear Dr. Andrea, the first question that you asked me about feeling disconnected is easy to explain because there is much careless undertakings when it comes to autism. A lot of what is said and done regarding autism is done on the basis of outsiders' viewpoints or assumptions of what autism is, and not what individuals with autism feel or need." Hugely important. We as individuals are colors of a rainbow with different needs, and what is often done is that we are pressed into a baking tin, and it is always the same shape and dough. The baker sees the customers are not all satisfied, and some talk about their allergies, but he continues baking the same way in the hope that his customers get used to his baking. That explains why most of my life has been like trying to fit all of me into a preconceived idea of what may be the best for me, even if the response is always showing the opposite. So, right, nobody's listening. As long as I can recall, people in general do not look at me, but at my autism. And even though they see that autism varies from individual to individual, they stick to assumptions of what they have heard. This has led to bridges not being crossed or arms held, and in the end, it is the weaker part who loses because he is part of the minority, and the label lets the others off easily, right? They give up. It's like they don't even raise the bar a little bit. As you can see, Dr. Andrea, it is easy to understand how it comes down to feeling discarded. And I'll talk a little bit more about school after this.
While you were reading, and you just added there is to be a change in methodology.
Yes.
And we cannot teach all in the same manner.
Yes. Yes. And, you know, I have
He's
found
reading my mind. I love this, right? We're thinking this and he's writing it. It's just like,
well, if you translate.
It's incredible, right? I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to ask this question, and then he answers it. Multidimensional in action. Thank you.
Yes.
You know how functional this is. This is great.
Yes.
You know, and for to give an example of, you know, all kids can't be taught the same, you could look at the general educational population, right? We have different learning styles. We have auditory sequential learning styles, we have visual spatial learning styles, and then we have some other things that have to do with tactile and kinesthetic. And you know, 30% of the population are visual spatial learners. So when you throw the general population into a classroom, 30% of those kids are not going to benefit from the way we're educating. So huge reason, you know, to
rethink the system.
Yes,
and the way education has been going for all this time.
Yes. You know, I'm going to read what he says here about school, the last part of this. When it comes to school, then things really get tough. Schools function mostly as industries piling students into crates after they have been conditioned or then programmed to fit into the natural order of things without questioning. Most schools don't cater for the needs of their students, but rather to the system. They are places of pain for both students and teachers who haven't been completely taken by the system. On the whole, schools are energetically dense places with seemingly automated students and teachers teaching knowledge in between bell rings. Andy, does this make any sense to you? Yes, huge sense to me. Can you tell me why most schools murder students' will or motivation to learn and construct knowledge? That is, That is such a strong sentiment that I feel so acutely with my typical kids as well. As human beings, we have the ability to think and construct knowledge if we are guided to, but most schools continue to pour out knowledge, sometimes outdated, and insist on memorization. When it comes to my personal experience, school was a daunting experience because I had a label of autism, was nonverbal, and had poor motor skills. All these ingredients put together gave teachers the illusion or opened the way to an excuse that I did not have the ability to learn or even wanted to at all. Really important. Most of the times I had to endure classes which were totally desireless for any being with the slightest ability to think. That is so important. Most of the times I had to endure classes which were totally desireless for any being with the slightest ability to think. That's soul crushing. And what I think should be done regarding schools is that, first of all, we are looking after and catering for the well-being of human beings, each with their individuality, and each of their needs have to be met. Teachers need to be there to guide us, to show us the way when we are lost, but it is up to us to construct knowledge. As students, we have to be exposed to knowledge in a variety of fields, but in the end, we should present a project where we applied the knowledge we gained and constructed knowledge, giving back to society the investment made. I can tell you that schools, generally speaking, do, in my point of view, do more harm than good to human beings, reinforcing
Okay, let him regulate, because then this is great, actually. I love that part.
Yes, but in his text, he basically sums up what his experience at school has been. And it has completed, we were either stuck with the fact that he was not autonomous when it came to his writing or expressing what he had learned, or the fact that he had a label, so there was not much belief associated that he could have anything worthwhile to share.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, that's one of the driving forces for Lori and I in doing this channel and letting people know, here's this totally intelligent human being that has so much to say. And it's like, you know, we have to let people know that they're in there and that we can't keep doing things the way we've been doing them.
You know, apparently, I guess people need to hear the same thing over at least 7 or 8 times, right? So we could say that this is why the channel is important. So yesterday he wrote to me, Andy, and he said that he and I have a contract since before we were born.
I believe it.
Yeah, of course we all do, right?
I know.
How beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Joelle, for saying that. And I can feel that. I know that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.